The courtroom was filled with a tense quiet, the kind that seemed to hold its breath, waiting for something to happen. Sunlight poured through the tall windows, illuminating the polished wooden benches where spectators whispered nervously among themselves. Judge Caprio sat at his bench, calm and composed, his gavel resting nearby. Today's case was anything but ordinary. The mayor's daughter, Isabella Marquez, had been summoned to appear in his courtroom, and the city had been buzzing with anticipation for days. The bailiff's voice cut through the quiet, firm and professional. Next case. The People versus Isabella Marquez. A murmur ran through the gallery. Isabella Marquez, known for her appearances at charity events and high-profile social functions, walked into the courtroom with confidence. Her heels clicked sharply on the marble floor, drawing attention before she even reached the front. The mayor was conspicuously absent, officially, attending an important conference, though everyone suspected otherwise. Isabella's attorney, a well-dressed man with a calm demeanor, gave her a slight nod. Isabella waved off the gesture, more interested in the courtroom itself than the legal proceedings. Her eyes landed on Thomas, the bailiff assigned to escort her, a young man known for his professionalism and unwavering discipline. "Good morning, Your Honor," Isabella said, her tone light, almost mocking, as she approached the bench with exaggerated grace. Judge Caprio regarded her calmly. "Good morning, Ms. Marquez. Please rise." Isabella stood, her posture impeccable, a practiced poise that suggested she was used to commanding attention rather than obeying authority. "Ms. Marquez," Judge Caprio began, "you are here today in response to allegations of disorderly conduct at the City Council meeting last month, during which you reportedly struck a city employee and caused a disruption." Isabella tilted her head, feigning innocence. "Your Honor, it was just a little slap. Surely that isn't considered disorderly conduct. People do worse all the time." Whispers spread through the courtroom. Judge Caprio's expression remained unchanged. A slap on a public employee during a council session is precisely why this matter is before the court. The law does not exempt anyone, regardless of family name or social status. Isabella sighed dramatically, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Really, you don't actually expect me to?" Before she could finish, Thomas, the bailiff, stepped forward slightly. "Ma'am, please address the court respectfully." Isabella's eyes flickered with annoyance, and in a swift motion, she turned and slapped him across the face. The sound echoed sharply in the courtroom. Gasps rippled through the gallery, some people covering their mouths in shock. A few whispered incredulously, "Did she really just do that?" Judge Caprio's gaze remained steady. "Ms. Marquez," he said slowly, "you have just escalated your situation." Her attorney stood abruptly, trying to intervene. "Your Honor, perhaps we could." "No," Judge Caprio interrupted, his tone final and unyielding. "This is no longer a minor infraction. Ms. Marquez, the court has no choice but to place you under immediate detention for contempt." Isabella's eyes widened in disbelief. "You can't do that, I'm the mayor's daughter," she shouted, stepping back as Thomas approached her. "You will comply with the court order," Thomas said firmly. "Don't touch me," she barked, her voice rising in panic. Judge Caprio's eyes locked on hers. "Being the mayor's daughter does not put you above the law. You are hereby remanded in handcuffs." Isabella struggled briefly, flailing as Thomas moved to secure her wrists, but she quickly realized resistance was futile. He gently but firmly placed the silver handcuffs on her, his expression professional and steady. "This is outrageous. You'll regret this, Judge Caprio," Isabella shouted over her shoulder as she was escorted toward the holding area. The courtroom remained silent after she was taken away, the spectators absorbing the gravity of what had just happened. Some whispered about the audacity of the mayor's daughter, while others praised the judge for his composure and adherence to the law. Cameras in the back captured every moment, broadcasting it instantly to social media feeds across the city. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed as Thomas and another officer led Isabella toward the transport vehicle. "Did you see the slap?" one shouted. "Yes," Thomas replied calmly. She was taken into custody without further incident. Inside the courtroom, Judge Caprio reviewed the notes, ensuring every procedure had been followed meticulously. He knew the incident carried symbolic weight. The mayor's daughter facing consequences sent a clear message: privilege did not place anyone above the law. Meanwhile, Isabella sat in the holding cell, her designer shoes tapping impatiently against the concrete floor. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages from friends and advisors. "Call your father," one read. "He'll fix this," she scoffed, realizing that, For once, she could not simply rely on influence or connections. Her hands, cuffed moments ago, now rested in her lap, a humbling reminder that actions had consequences. The mayor, in his office, fielded a flurry of calls from city council members, reporters, and concerned citizens. The incident was dominating headlines, framing him in a difficult position. Could he intervene without appearing biased? Would doing nothing harm his reputation? Every option seemed fraught with risk. Back in the courtroom, the public and city officials debated what had transpired. Some called for leniency, citing her age and social status. Others argued that justice required impartiality, that the law must apply equally to everyone, regardless of family name. Judge Caprio, however, focused on the facts, not the opinions. He understood that fairness demanded consistency and integrity. As Isabella was formally processed, the jail staff handled her with the same professionalism they would extend to any detainee. Authority, when applied correctly, was absolute, and Isabella began to comprehend that lesson firsthand. By evening, the story had gone viral. News outlets analyzed every detail: the slap, the handcuffing, Judge Caprio's calm authority. Legal commentators praised the judge for maintaining decorum and following protocol, while the public debated the mayor's potential influence. Judge Caprio, in the quiet of his chambers, reviewed the transcripts once more. His decisions had been deliberate, precise, and fair. Justice was not about spectacle, it was about accountability. Today had been a lesson in the principle that privilege did not excuse misconduct. Somewhere in the city, Isabella Marquez sat quietly in her cell, her anger cooled but her pride bruised. She reflected on her actions and the consequences they had wrought. For the first time, she recognized that influence and social status could not shield her from the consequences of her behavior. The law applied equally to everyone. The following day, the courtroom was abuzz with reporters and spectators eager to witness the outcome of Isabella's contempt hearing. Her attorney entered first, attempting to prepare the narrative for mitigation. Isabella followed, her demeanor slightly subdued, though her signature air of defiance lingered. Judge Caprio entered, and the room fell silent. He addressed the matter with measured authority. "Ms. Marquez, your actions yesterday were in direct violation of the court's authority. You slapped a public officer and resisted lawful orders. This court cannot tolerate such behavior, nor can it send a message that such conduct is excusable due to family status." Isabella opened her mouth to respond, but Judge Caprio raised a hand, halting her mid-word. "You will have an opportunity to speak, but the court's decision is guided by law, not emotion or social standing." The courtroom absorbed the weight of his words. Isabella's attorney interjected, arguing for leniency, citing her youth and lack of prior offenses. Judge Caprio listened, nodding thoughtfully, but his decision was unwavering. "Ms. Marquez, you will serve a period in custody appropriate for the offense, and you will write a formal apology to the court and the officer involved. Justice demands accountability, and this court will ensure it is delivered without bias." The verdict settled over the room like a heavy fog. Isabella's face reflected a mix of frustration and disbelief, but she remained composed enough to be led back into custody. The message was clear: defiance of authority, regardless of privilege, carries consequences. In the weeks that followed, Isabella's case became a topic of discussion throughout the city. Citizens debated her actions, the mayor's potential influence, and Judge Caprio's unwavering commitment to justice. Schools discussed the importance of respecting authority, and social media circulated clips of the courtroom incident with commentary ranging from condemnation to admiration for the judge's composure. For Judge Caprio, the events reinforced a principle he had long upheld: fairness is measured not by wealth or status but by adherence to the law. Privilege may open doors, but it cannot override the responsibilities every citizen owes to society. Isabella, reflecting on the experience, began to understand the limits of influence and the value of accountability. The handcuffs that had once symbolized humiliation now represented a turning point, a lesson in restraint, responsibility, and respect for authority. In the end, the courtroom returned to its routine, the echoes of the incident lingering but fading with time. Judge Caprio continued his work, impartial and steadfast, a reminder to the city that justice is consistent, and that even the most privileged must answer to the law. The story of the mayor's daughter and the slap that changed everything remained a cautionary tale, one that citizens would remember for years to come, a symbol of the enduring principle that accountability is universal, and justice is impartial.